Hi everyone, so I'm here in Shenandoah National Park and we're just starting another hike. We are on our way to the top of Hawksbill Mountain, which is the tallest mountain in the national park here. As we go along, we're going to see what we can find and see if there's some cool science lessons that we can teach along the way. So right here as we're starting, we can see that there is a log here that is starting to rot and break down. So what is it that makes logs rot and wood rot when it's left out? Sometimes when I go to the lake at Promised Land, there are logs underneath the water that have been there for a long time, and they're not rotting nearly as fast as this log is right here. This log looks like it's decomposing way faster. So what is it that makes wood and other plant material break down and turn back into dirt? See what you can find out. Okay, so we've gone a little bit further up the trail and we found another really cool rotting log. And I'm here with Mrs. Hawksbill, who is a biology teacher, and she knows way more about this kind of stuff than I do. So I asked her, how come these logs are rotting? So, what can you tell us?
Well, you can see over here, we have an organism crawling around. Other things like ants, different fungus like a mushroom, some bacteria will help to break down the dead log. And as it's decomposing, then the nutrients that were in it, like carbon and nitrogen and phosphorus, will be returned to the soil that then will help the plants here.
So your key word that you need to know is all of those different organisms or living things that break down dead plant and animal matter are called?
Decomposers.
Decomposers. There's your vocab word. All right, let's see what we find up the trail. So I've been looking for a certain kind of decomposer on this trail that I just found. So let me show you. Think you know what it is? It's a kind of fungus. So right down here, it's a mushroom. So fungi break down dead plant material, and that's why they grow. You'll see, if you look at live trees, you normally don't see mushrooms growing on them. But if you go find a dead tree, sometimes you'll see really big mushrooms growing. And that's because fungi, like mushrooms, are decomposers that will break down that dead material. Let's see what else we can find. Hey again, everyone. So I'm breathing a little heavy right now because we've been hiking uphill for a while. And my daughter said, Dad, you know, there's a reason why you pant like that, why you take deeper breaths when your body gets tired and you're doing exercise. So tell us, Ab, why is this happening to me?
When you're doing physical exercise, you breathe in deeper and out deeper. So you're putting out more carbon dioxide and your body is trying to take in more oxygen.
But why does my body need more oxygen?
Well, I would have told you. Because your body needs oxygen to make the energy that powers you to keep you going for the rest of the day.
So how does it do that?
Your body takes the sugars that come in that you eat and the oxygen that you breathe, and it converts them into a molecule called ATP. And this ATP is made inside of your cells, and ATP is the energy that powers you to do all of the things you do throughout your day.
So there you go. When you're out doing physical exercise and you start breathing heavy, now you'll know why. Your body needs more oxygen so it can make more energy. All right, we're like halfway up the mountain and I'm getting tired, but I'm also really sweaty right now. So, Mrs. Hawksbill, why am I sweating?
Well, you have receptors in your body. They're nerves, and they sense when your temperature is too high, like from exercise, and they send a message to your brain. And your brain contacts a different set of nerves called effectors, which go to your sweat glands and tell them to release the sweat they've been producing.
So basically my body and my nerves are telling my brain, you're too hot, you need to cool down, get sweating. Is that the basic gist?
Your brain's telling your body you're too hot, get to sweating, yeah.
Okay, so second question. I taste salty. Why is that?
Well, the sweat that helps cool you down is primarily made of water, but it does have a little salt in it from when your sweat glands are making it.
So that's just one of the byproducts of the wetlands making the...
Yep, it's salt, urea, water.
Urea.
Yep.
That's what we pee, isn't it?
It is. It's kind of gross.
Yeah, it is kind of gross. All right. More gross facts coming up, maybe. We'll see. But don't forget that one question I asked before. Now that you know all about decomposers, how come logs that are underwater don't decompose as much? Let's come back to that one in a bit. Hey everyone, and welcome to the summit of Hawksbill Mountain, the tallest mountain in Shenandoah National Park. You can see for miles. It's awesome up here. But the question I have is take a look at these rocks, right? This is the second hike that we've been on to the top of a mountain here. And at the top, there's always this, these rocks that are here. Why do you think the top of mountains are rockier than down the bottom? So I asked the same question on the last video, if you've seen that one before, when we went to the top of Stony Man. But I want you to look carefully here before we answer that. And you'll see that there's cracks in these rocks. So I think that's part of your clue. So what happens is what's called root wedging and ice wedging. So sometimes you'll see, and you can see over here, there's a good example. You'll see some stuff growing in the cracks. And there's some plants growing. So as the roots get in there, they push the rocks apart. And that causes some of the cracks. And that's root wedging. But also, during the winter, rain and water will accumulate inside those cracks, and then it will freeze. And you may have seen this with like a soda bottle that goes in your freezer. Water expands when it freezes. So it forces these cracks apart. And what happens is boulders break off. And as they break off, that erosion happens, and those boulders start rolling down the mountain. And as they go, they bang into each other and break apart. They go into streams, and they get worn down until they're smaller and smaller, which is why at the bottom of mountains, you don't see these big rock outcroppings as much. But almost always at the top of a mountain, you'll see this kind of rock formation. So, but I didn't tell you what kind of rocks these are. Ab, what kind are they?
Metamorphic and igneous.
Yeah, so these rocks actually used to be connected to the continent of Africa when all of the land on Earth was one big continent called Pangaea. So you may be able to find the same kinds of rocks in mountains in Africa because it used to be connected. Pretty cool. Okay, folks, as I walk back down from the summit of the mountain, I promised you that I would answer that question for you, and hopefully you did some thinking about it. And the question was, how come logs that are underwater don't break down and decompose as quickly as logs like this that are out in the air? So the hint that I gave you was when I was talking about how I was panting going up the mountain. So I need oxygen. You need oxygen. All living things need oxygen. And when I was going up the mountain, because it was hard work, I was trying to get more oxygen in by breathing heavy. What can't you get when you're underwater? Oxygen. We can't breathe underwater, can we? Well, neither can most decomposers. So underwater, those things that the fungus, the fungi, the insects, the bacteria that break down logs here above the water can't live in the same way. So sometimes logs that are underwater will stay there for hundreds of years and not break down. Well, thanks for coming on this science hike with me. Stay curious and get out there and explore.